This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to get on these matters. I want the record to reflect that, you know, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh, is Jewish. I just want to be clear.
Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin.
What's going on, everybody? Today, we're going to talk about Pam Bondi's hearing in front of Congress. Lots of questions about Epstein, and Pam Bondi was not having it. She was not pumped about it, and the clown show continues. So we're going to get into that today. I got a bunch of clips loaded. I'm going to react to it, and then at the end of the stream, I'll explain what happened. I think I got cut short last time, so I apologize to those who wanted to hear the end of that. Maybe I'll continue where I was at the end of this. So Dream Rare Podcast starts now. Thanks for being here.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here. We're going to get right into it in a second and just react to about 10 or so clips I found from the hearing of Pam Bondi. I thought she did a terrible job. I mean, it's an absolute jester show. And President Netanyahu, the president of the United States of Israel, is here in the United States of Israel this week. So I just thought I'd give a shout out. It's super, super nice for President Netanyahu to hang out with Trump. He doesn't have to do that, but him giving Trump so much time and attention, it's like, it's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's like a Make-A-Wish kid sort of thing. Like he's just, no, I'm just joking. That was maybe inappropriate, but I condemn, I apologize. I promise I'll go on an apology tour at some point in my life. But until then, let's react to these Pam Bondi clips before the war with Iran starts, because apparently our entire country is controlled by a lobby that you can't talk about. But let's get into the first clip.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to get on these matters.
Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None.
So I guess he's a failed politician because he won't vote for all their bills. But I feel like all of, not just the Trump administration, but most of politics and media in general, I feel like they have Epstein derangement syndrome. Like they don't want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, and they freak out whenever it's mentioned, because Jeffrey Epstein's like the Wizard of Oz in this situation. If you figure out what's really going on, what our politicians are really doing, and who they actually work for, the entire show like doesn't exist. It would be like if every single person in the audience of Hulk Hogan versus The Rock realized that it was like completely scripted, and then they weren't interested. They only wanted to believe in it if it were real. So I feel like Massey really doesn't have a Trump derangement syndrome, but Pam Bondi and most of the Trump administration has Epstein derangement syndrome. They just want to move on. They just keep saying he wasn't a big figure or a big factor in life. He was just some nobody. Remember when Pam Bondi said that Epstein had, I don't want to say the word and get flagged, but kitty stuff on his like computer? That was the narrative she was going with for a while. Like he was just some lone wolf sicko with stuff on his computer, and like they think we're so stupid that we just think like Jeffrey Epstein was like some random guy who was just doing really sick stuff on his computer. I'm not saying anybody who ever talked to him is necessarily guilty of every crime he committed. That's not the point I'm making. But he wasn't some non-factor in life. He was somebody who was facilitating deals with Palantir, talking to prime ministers of Israel, and telling Peter Thiel he worked for the Rothschilds while calling Madonna cattle. So there's a bigger picture there. But let's get back to Pam Bondi. See what else she's saying to Massey, because there's a lot of good clips we can go through.
FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim time
because this is bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer a question the way you want.
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
Yes, I love exactly what he said there, because there's always, it's not just Pam Bondi, and it's, to be fair, it's not just like Republicans or Trump supporters. Everybody does this, but there's always something called framing. I don't know why I said it like that, like I'm talking to like a class. There's something called framing. Yeah, we all know what that means. But the framing of the narrative, they always frame it in a way that makes it left versus right. So I know the Trump administration and a lot of Republican media, their narrative is like, did you talk about it during Biden? And Thomas Massie said, listen, it's way beyond Trump. It's way beyond Biden. It's way beyond Bush. It's way beyond Obama. It spans that entire time. And you're playing a role in this. To make this an example that everybody understands before I play the next clip, it's the same thing as if you talk about Operation Warp Speed and the socialism and the lockdown stuff that Trump was involved in some cases. People will be like, well, he didn't mandate the vaccine. Correct. And the Sackler family did not mandate opioids, but they still got in trouble to some extent, not really, but some sort of trouble, legal trouble over the whole, OxyContin crisis. Does that mean they did nothing wrong because OxyContin is not mandated? Is every drug dealer that deals meth and crack to people, is it okay because it's not mandated? So mandates are one part of the evil equation of what they did during the pharmaceutical lockdown. But Trump played a role in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, all the way up to Y. Then Democrats do Z, and people are like, but at least he didn't do Z. It's like, sure, yeah, I'm glad he didn't do that, but that doesn't, it's like the framing of the narrative. So, conveniently, I think the Republican Party and Trump now, they're trying to frame it as like, oh, don't talk about Epstein now because the left didn't care about Epstein. I'm not a Democrat voter. I don't vote for Kamala Harris, and I don't vote for Joe Biden. I voted for Donald Trump. And one of the things that Trump and his administration talked about, and especially people like Kash Patel and Bongino, when they were on the podcast circuit, they were talking about Epstein disclosure. So for the same reason, I don't vote for Democrats if I want the border closed. I vote for Republicans. I don't vote for Democrats if I want them to deport illegals more than Mayorkas just lets in 10 million people. I vote for Republicans. So it's like, I don't understand this talking point. Like, I'm not dumb or fake enough to get what they're talking about. They're like, but what about the Democrat? We don't expect Joe Biden to do anything. I didn't vote for Joe Biden in 2020. I didn't vote for Kamala in 2024. So there was no expectation for me to expect anything out of the Democratic Party that I know is fake and I despise. I voted for Republicans, not just for the Epstein disclosure, but, it's like, what? Well, did you talk about food quality during, Biden's term? Yes. But then I voted Republican, and now we have RFK. So now we're trying to hold our government accountable of our people because you're in and we voted for you to do this. It's like, it's not this big talking point. Or like, what about during Joe Biden? I didn't even talk that much about Joe Biden mandating vaccines and stuff. Not that I talked about it, but I wasn't like, please, Joe Biden, listen to me. I know he's not going to listen to me. He doesn't care what I think. His ideology is completely twisted from my worldview. And Joe Biden, there is no customer service. It's like calling a number and nobody's there. So with Trump, we're demanding customer service, and they're just spiraling with these stupid talking points like, did you talk about it during Biden? And Massey's like, dude, it's way deeper than Biden. It goes back to George Bush and Obama. And now you're playing a role in it. Facts, 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 facts.
That's
now,
where the
I want to know, at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
All right, well, that's that clip. Not really much to say there. Let's play this one.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great.
I'm gonna run it back, but this one is the first one I saw this morning. Like, I was busy, so then I checked X or Twitter, and this is the first one that pops up, and I'm cracking up. Like, I know what's happening. It's Pam Bondi hanging out with Trump, and I'm sure she has script writers, etc. Massey claims that she had note cards or flashcards with disses and nicknames for people. Like, she's just getting fed all this information. But that's all Trump's administration does. He's like, just talk about the Dow, talk about the stock market, make sure they know the big, beautiful bill that prints the money is beautiful and big like a gold bar room that I hang out with Bill Gates and Lindsey Graham in. And then like, that's all they tell their minions. Cause I think in the Trump administration, or really any administration, but you got to just say what your leader says. So it's like, talk about the Dow Jones when people bring up Jeffrey Epstein. That's gonna go really well with the American public. Most people are catching on that there's some sicko that you claimed had kitty stuff on his computer that the whole world thinks was sex trafficking and human trafficking, that got charged. I don't remember the exact charge he got charged for, but he was a known offender and a convicted felon at one point. And then also somebody that is like talking to the Rothschilds, to Peter Thiel, is acting like Bill Gates, and everyone else is like a small fry compared to him. He's like this global. It's like if Earth is like a movie, it seemed like he's the main character that nobody's allowed to talk about, like the hidden hand that is above everyone else. But let's just talk about the Dow Jones. I mean, look at the stock. It's over 50,000. NVIDIA is making a lot of money. I mean, congratulations to NVIDIA. It's like, what a crazy talking point. But I've been trying to tell the GOP, not from a liberal perspective. I consider myself more conservative than Trump. It's not a competition, but like the messaging doesn't work for anyone that's not like over 60 and obsessed with Trump. Like, I get it. Yes, the stock market goes up and down. We appreciate when it's high, especially people that own stocks. But there's something more that isn't connecting with, like, Trump is losing and hemorrhaging support among people under 40, like by like 40 points. Like and I know, I see it in real life. People I talk to, like everybody's like, yeah, Trump kind of sucks now. Like he's not cool anymore. All the leeway we've made making conservative culture cool is just being absolutely destroyed, not just by Trump, but it's like, they're just so tone deaf. They're just like, just keep talking about the Dow Jones. Just bring it up at an Epstein. It's like, dude, we need better. Somebody program these NPCs, reprogram them. Maybe they need to be turned on and off like a Game Boy or something, where like, it's like you turn your computer on and off and it works better. Something needs to happen where these people need some sort of reboot or like better programming, because just talking about golden ballrooms and blaming the left and, talking about stock market, like it's not, there's not enough depth there for the average person. But take it away, Pam. Give me your best comedy routine.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee. She's just such an unimpressive actor and character. Like, outside of how stupid she sounds there and how goofy she sounds, like she's just like an annoying like Valley girl. She's like, are you kidding? I'm reading a note about the stock market. Like, I mean, of course the stock go up. It means something. It's like, all right, lady, we get it. Yeah, the stocks go up. It means something. But you're being asked questions about Jeffrey Epstein, which is way more interesting and way more on brand of what everybody's talking about. Like, yeah, it's like if you told me like, imagine if I just like smashed into a car and got in a huge car accident, it was my fault. And people are like, why'd you just get into that car accident? Like, why did you run a red light and hit that person, that old lady? And I'm like, I won a soccer tournament when I was in high school. Do you not see my gold trophy? I won a trophy for soccer. It's like, it doesn't. Yeah, but what about the collision you just caused? Like, that's the whole situation. It's like, we get it. The stocks are up. Congrats. Like, yay. Woo. But what about what everyone else is talking about? Jeffrey Epstein. It's kind of like, she's like, but I have a trophy. We get it, lady. I just want to read this comment before I move on. Someone said Anomaly doesn't know what's going either. Of course, my haters always spell everything wrong, but they say, you should always be skeptical about anti-Israel people. They cannot see reality. Well, I just want to be clear real quick before I move on. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm pro-America. I'm a Christian. I'm not acting like I'm the perfect person, but I'm anti-speech regulation rules. I'm anti-speech laws. I'm anti-hate. I don't think hate speech is a real thing. Like, people just say that when you tell the truth about a topic they don't like. So like, I just keep getting slandered as an anti-Semite and anti-Israel for standing up for the First Amendment. And I want to give props to Carrie Prejean Bowler, who just got kicked off a religious panel. Go watch everything that she said. You could say she's anti this or anti that, but in reality, she's talking about the anti-Semitism hate speech laws that are anti-Christian that are being passed into American legislation that say that you can't talk about who killed Jesus. Like, it's literally discriminating against Christians and trying to make our Bible anti-Semitic according to the definition. So now the Bible is hate speech according to Zionist pastors and Trump and Pam Bondi, and they're all enforcing these weird definitions. So it's like, if I stand up for my own country or just simply say that I believe the First Amendment's more important than international Jewish Israeli laws, they just say I'm anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. But, you know, keep dreaming, keep lying. I don't really care at this point, but I'm not anti any other country. I'm just playing my role. I'm American. I don't, you know, it's like, I don't stand up for Ukraine. Am I anti-Ukrainian? I have Ukrainian friends that love Ukraine. I have Venezuelan friends that love what Trump's doing in Venezuela. A lot of people from South America, they say, I love Trump's foreign policy. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I understand why, if you have loyalty to South America to some extent, you might like it. That's okay. But I'm not calling you anti this or anti that. So, you know, have fun with the terminology. Nobody cares anymore. But I just want to play this clip one more time because it's just so funny to me, but then I'll move on. I'm sorry. This is selfish. I know people don't want to hear this, but sometimes you just got to do something for yourself.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock.
The Dow, we get it. The Dow is up, but we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein right now. So you're going to have to be a little bit more multidimensional. Or you don't, because you work for the same donors that Trump works for. I'll show you that later. So there's a reason Pam Bondi got chosen. Should we do it now? Should I just skip right there? Let's look at Trump's mega donor who gave him $250 million, talking about her great friend, Pamela Bondi. Let's listen.
Under her leadership, the Department of Justice has made combating anti-Semitism a top priority, especially in response to the alarming rise in incidents following October 7. She brings moral clarity, resolve, and an unwavering commitment to justice to this critical fight.
Who brings that? Who are you talking about? Mrs. Adelson, who gave Trump $250 million and apparently always asked for Trump to do things for Israel. But if I say that you're doing that, it's anti-Semitism.
Please welcome my friend, the 87th Attorney General of the United States, Pamela Bondi.
All right, we'll get back to that. Let's get to the next clip. Sorry, I had to make that leeway.
But, you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison.
Who's Ghislaine? Is that Gertrude Maxwell? Ghislaine Maxwell? I think it's Ghislaine, but I don't know. Her name's weird. Maybe like some people call her Ghislaine. Ghislaine Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now we got Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me know in the comment section, how do you pronounce Ghislaine Maxwell? I'm not French enough to understand. Is it even French? Am I even right? Am I making a fool of myself? Anyway.
But, you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple of
died
other
on a subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues.
Oh, man, their framing is so fascinating. Like, I think it works really well. And I'm not trying to be hateful. I'm just speaking out loud because the truth is, like, certain demographics vote different ways. On average, if you're black, you don't have to be a Democrat, but most black people statistically vote Democrat. Most Jewish people statistically vote Democrat as well. Yet the donor money funds both sides. So Republicans think that they're like Rosa Parks of the Jewish people, even though most Jews in America don't even like them. But that's a different story. But it's like when it comes to, you know, the framing that the Trump administration's doing, it works like really well on Fox News. It works really well on Newsmax. It works really well with people over 60 that like Trump on average. But everybody under 40, like, it doesn't work. Like, we want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein right now. I'm fine with pointing out that leftists don't talk about Irina, who was killed in, I think, North or South Carolina on a subway. Like I'm all for these talking points sometimes when they make sense. But if someone's talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and that is also it's not like, oh, don't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I want to talk about, someone else right now. It's like that doesn't really work on most people. So the talking points are specifically for people over 60 who watch Sean Hannity and Maria Bartiromo. Everyone else, they're like, oh, we gotcha. You don't want to talk about Irina. Let's talk about Irina and Ghislaine Maxwell, because I feel like her and Jeffrey Epstein were doing interesting things that ended up both of them in prison. So clearly someone in court agreed that something was going on, because they both ended up in jail at some point. But she doesn't want to talk about it. She wants to talk about Irina right now. And that's a talking point that goes really, really hard if you're over 65 and you like Laura Ingraham. I like Laura Ingraham. She brought me on her show. So she's the only, shout out Laura. She's the only one who's ever brought me on Fox News. I appreciate you. And she gave me a cool introduction. She said, anomaly, one name like Cher, Madonna. I got to use that for a rap intro one day. But anyway, let's get back to it.
But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So, as we've heard, she took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing.
I don't know who Miss Ross is. I don't know if she's a Democrat or Republican. I'm going to guess Democrat, but either way, like, she totally made Pam Bondi look dumb there. She's like, yeah, of course we're talking about you. The kids are calling it mogged nowadays. She mogged her. That's the new terminology. But like, it's like, yeah, you're here for a hearing. Like, it's about you. It's like Pam Bondi. I can't do it with these, like, the new wave, like, Trump movement. It's so corny now. It's like they think everything's like a Mar-a-Lago dance ball where they're like, the stocks are up. We're building ballrooms. Yay, we're bombing Iran for Israel. Yay, everybody's anti-Semitic. YMCA. They think everything's like a Mar-a-Lago party. The second you bring like a Trump like bootlicker out of Mar-a-Lago, they're acting as foreign as liberals did in 2017 when they went crazy over Donald Trump. Like, Trump worshiping and people who work for Trump are as annoying to me as liberals now. Like, it's like they can't like have a conversation. It's like you talk to a liberal, everything's fascist, everything's racist, everything's sexist. It's like nothing, like you can't even have a conversation with a liberal. It's like talking to an alien. It's like, what? Like, how is this sexist? It's like, all right, lady. It's like a Trump person. It's like, you're like, let's talk about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. They're like, what about Irina? What about the stock market? Like, why are you asking me questions? They're like, you're the attorney general and you're here to answer questions about this topic. I just want to talk about the ballrooms and the stock market. It's like, these people are as annoying as liberals now. I have to make it a joke because it's like annoying. So I don't want to just sit here and, be a brat the whole time. I got to make it funny, or else, what's the point of doing a show if it's just going to be like sad? I'm not going to cry. I can if you think it's funny, but anyway.
And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison? Yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about what should happen with you.
But you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about her all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but
offender
I am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You're
That's what you're getting paid for.
With attack.
I want you.
All right. Once again, I don't know Miss Ross. I'm sure she'd probably hate me and have different politics than me. But Miss Ross in this format is asking us a very simple and to be fair, respectful question. She wasn't being rude at all. She literally was just like, are you guys going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? And Pam Bondi's like, oh, you're just attacking me. It's like, what is wrong with these people? Dude, too much Fox News is like as bad as Rachel Maddow. It's like they're they're so engulfed with like their own crap that they just like don't see how ridiculous they look to literally everybody else. But they could show up to some obscure Israeli American conference, get a bunch of donor money, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm the Malcolm X of Jewish people." It's like, first of all, Pam, you're not some sort of activist hero just because you're like crying about anti-Semitism all the time. That's like the most annoying part about politicians on the left and the right. They think they're the George Floyd activist of Jewish people, but the only reason they feel that way is they just engulf donor money from very rich Jews. And most Jews in America, just statistically, don't even like Republicans. Look at how much they vote Democrat. It's been at least over 50%. I think for most elections, over 70 or 80% sometimes. Like the Jewish demographic, although it's small, their voting block is for Democrats. And then like Pam Bondi takes a bunch of Jewish donor money, and then or I don't know if she specifically did, but the GOP does. And then, I don't know if you can even take donor money at her position, but in general, it's like they speak at these conferences in front of donors. They're friends with donors. Obviously, most politicians are getting donor money. And then all of a sudden they're Rosa Parks. They're on the back of the bus. They're the hero of this. We're fighting hate speech for this group, but then we're going to go on Fox News and pretend like we don't believe in hate speech, but we do believe in hate speech for this group that pays us, but then votes for Democrats. But we don't want you to say that because that breaks our anti-Semitism rule that we just passed, but it's not legally binding yet, but we're figuring out how to, we get it. We get it, lady. Let's move on to another Thomas Massie clip. And then I have to get to I don't know if I'd say my favorite clip, but the funniest clip of Pam Bondi calling some Jewish congresswoman anti-Semitic, but she freaked out because she's Jewish, and she was like, "How dare you use that word against me? I'm Jewish." Like it's classic like leftist calling someone racist, and then the black person says the white person's racist, but the white person says they're Native American and they can't be racist. It's like this is happening like to Pam Bondi, and no one deserves it more, because this is what happens when you play a game of hate speech. You're just like crying about hate speech to somebody who believes they, have thousands of years of they've been promised this hate speech. You just inherited it through donor money. They've been promised it. So how dare you, Pamela Bondi? Apologize. Go on a Ben Shapiro, European tour. Say sorry. Kiss a wall, and then explain how you're never going to do it again, or else you're an anti-Semite.
Where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking. Not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need, that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated.
How dare you, Thomas Massie? How dare you be what everyone else pretends to be in the Republican Party and vote against spending bills and say no to foreign aid and try to stop the wars? Why don't you just talk about the stock market, Thomas? The stocks are up. The 401ks are booming. Nvidia's making lots of money, Thomas. Relax, dude. Stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein, you liberal. What a Kamala voter. How dare him bring up Jeffrey Epstein at a hearing that is supposed to be a Fox News hit for Pam Bondi. She's supposed to be bragging about the stock market now.
Where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution.
Sorry, I already played that clip.
How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document?
Why is Thomas Massie being so anti-Semitic right there? It disgusts me. I mean, asking about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is very anti-Semitic. So I mean, he's tying all these anti-Semitic weaves. I mean, he needs to go on a Ben Shapiro apology tour as well after this. But let's see what Pamela says, because hopefully she doesn't talk about the stock market again here.
Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton. Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein.
Wait, is that please tell me that's the wrong one and she didn't say that after? Hold on.
How do we know?
I guess I don't know if this was next or not, but this is the next clip I have loaded, but let's hear.
Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was.
Okay, I guess I don't have the next clip of what she said, but I'm sure she didn't say much of anything. So I think this is the one where she gets yelled at by some Jewish lady for calling her anti-Semitic. Let's look. Sorry about that. We're a little all over the place here. It's a professional news show. Sorry, we don't get paid by like pharmaceutical ads. We gotta just do it by myself.
Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton. Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once when he was.
Weak sauce.
And also.
She said weak sauce. That's where we're at. It's like back in the day, you had like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson with like wigs on that are like speaking in like perfect English. And now we just have like, congressmen are like weak sauce. Like they're like, you're weak sauce. No, you're weak. That's kind of like, it's like an OG internet term. I like that though. That's fun. That is a little weak sauce. All right, let's keep it moving.
I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Oh,
is Jewish. I just want to be clear.
Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust. Really?
The committee will be in order.
Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism.
The ranking member knows that.
The Oppression Olympics hit. She was like, "You want to go here, cowboy, cowgirl?" She's like, Pam Bondi doesn't know it. Pam, weak sauce Pam Bondi. You have to understand. You policing anti-Semitism was given to you through all of the money that the GOP takes when they hire you and they pick you because they know that you're a perfect puppet. That's why you get to be there and police anti-Semitism. With her anti-Semitism policing was promised to her thousands of years ago. How dare you? I love that they do these public things because that's really how it is. It's like the left is anti-Semitic because they don't support Palestine. You're anti-Semitic because I'm Jewish. Well, you're anti-Semitic. It's like, oh my gosh. Like, are we sure that we're not at like a Black Lives Matter, like far left, like communist, like, Tuesday night meetup? Here's where Pamela Bondi gets her policing from. I'm going to play the clip of her and Miriam Adelson because every week or two, there's like some obscure Jewish or Israeli American conference. There's like dozens of them. And like all of our politicians just talk at them all the time. And they just go there and they're like, anti-Semitism is wrong. And then donors in the stage are like, I got actual sound effects. Hold on. My name is Pamela Bondi, and I love Fox News, and I love the Dow, and anti-Semitism is really wrong, so all I do all day is please speech for Jewish people in Israel. Hello, I'm Senator Ted Cruz. I know people don't know who I am or what ethnicity I am because my face looks like I got hit by a shovel. I look disgusting, but I'm actually a Canadian and I may or may not be part Hispanic. We're not sure, but I promise you that when I got to Congress, my main goal was to serve the nation of Israel. Hey, I'm Lindsey Graham. I'm in my 60s or 70s now. I'm unmarried, and I'm not really into the other side because I'm a warosexual. Where most people don't know that term. I'm not a liberal, so I'm not trying to get it confused with the two genders. I'm against all that stuff because I get paid money for that. But what I am is I'm attracted to bombs and stuff. I don't know. It's this weird thing. But if I, when I fly over to Tel Aviv and I hug a missile that's going to probably blow up a family, and then I'll call people anti-Semitic who talk about it, that warms my spirit. So of course I'll take your donor money and I will support Israel as well. Thank you. Lindsey Graham here. Over and out. All right, Pam, you're up next. It's time for Trump's mega donor who gave him $250 million to bring you out on stage. Your turn.
Please welcome my friend, the 87th Attorney General of the United States, Pamela Bondi.
Miriam Adelson is amazing. What she has done for Israel, for our country, and for this world is second to none. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. Oh my gosh. It's time to fight anti-Semitism.
The sad truth is, for way too long, anti-Semitism has been allowed to grow unchecked in this country. Too many institutions have abdicated their moral responsibility to speak up. Too many so-called leaders have stayed quiet. Actions have consequences, and inaction has consequences too.
You know what the problem in Washington is? The problem is there's not enough people policing anti-Semitism. That's the problem in Washington. Our so-called leaders just won't police it as hard as I will. Now give me your money. You're too kind. Stop. No, seriously. Stop. Seriously. Stop. You're too kind. It's weak sauce. All right, here's a clip that I'm going to play real quick. It's a Instagram reel that I made that's, got a couple 100,000 views. That's making its rounds, but it kind of shows you why both sides, in my opinion. I mean, let's not talk about Jeffrey Epstein. That's anti-Semitism. We got to leave him alone. Poor guy. But talk about this other stuff. When it comes to calling out people like Nancy Pelosi when they say stuff like I'm about to show you, no one ever does it because they're doing it also. And that's the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. They don't mind if you do like the left, right, like which bathrooms is the transgender person using in Texas. Like, I'm not saying you can't have a discussion about it. There obviously should be, but like they know things that are like triggering to both sides. And then stuff like this in this clip I'll play you, you'll never see this on mainstream media because the things that Nancy Pelosi does that are just so insane, Republicans are also doing. So they have no motivation to show you this. But here's probably one of the better videos I've made all year.
I have said to people when they ask me if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid, and I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. That's fundamental to fundamental.
It's a pretty crazy thing to say, right? If the capital of our country crumbled to the ground, we'd still be giving U.S. taxpayer dollars and weapons to a foreign country. One of those people on stage is Chuck Schumer. The other one is an American-Israeli billionaire donor. So of course Nancy Pelosi was groveling to the donor class. But if you say she was doing that, they'll call you anti-Semitic, of course. And that seems like something that Republicans would want to use against Nancy Pelosi, right? Since the Democrats and Republicans pretend to be fighting all the time. But most people have never even seen that clip because Republicans do the exact same thing. They go to these obscure conferences, speak in front of billionaire donors, then turn around and call their constituents anti-Semitic when they realize what's going on.
Welcome, my friend, the 87th Attorney General of the United States, Pamela Bondi.
It almost feels like we live in the Truman Show because Donald Trump once said that Marco Rubio was going to turn into the Adelson perfect puppet, and then Trump and the GOP took over $400 million from that same donor. And in the last election cycle, Trump took, in his own words, $250 million from Miriam Adelson.
Miriam gave my campaign, indirectly and directly, $250 million. She was number one.
I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years. And I said, Alan, I agree with you. So We can do it.
Yet, even though this is pivotal to the people that are purchasing and lobbying the Trump administration, I asked AI to scan for every Trump interview ever with a journalist to ask if any journalist literally ever has asked Trump a question about Miriam Adelson, and the answer was no. So Democrats don't seem to want to talk about that with Trump, even though it's a massive part of the picture. Republicans don't want to call out Nancy Pelosi when she says if our Capitol crumbled, we'd still be doling out money and weapons to someone else. Are we just living in some sort of scripted movie? Let me know what you think in the comments. Here's a video that AIPAC posted on their own, explaining that almost every major figure in recent American political history has been lobbied by AIPAC.
Please welcome Senate Democratic Leader,
the Senate Republican Leader.
Please welcome Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Please welcome Secretary of State.
I'm honored to introduce the Vice President of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Our strategic ally, our unbreakable friendship.
America is safer when we stand with Israel.
Because if you care about American security, you must care about Israel's security.
So it's like we're living in the Truman Show, and anytime anybody breaks the fourth wall of this like Epstein WWE thing that they're all doing, they kind of have to freak out at you. I'll give an example real quick because yesterday's video got cut off on YouTube, maybe for copyright reasons, on a C-SPAN clip. Not that it should be, but Carrie Prejean Bowler, I think was her name. She was invited to this religious panel with the Trump administration. I think it was like an official government kind of like C-SPAN filmed religious thing about anti-Semitism and religious freedom. And she was the only one there that wasn't an NPC. You had like this Zionist pastor who was there, and she was like, is it anti-Semitic to say that blank killed Jesus? Can't say their name. And then he was like, that's not anti-Semitic. That's like a fact. That's in the Bible. And she's like, yeah, but that's also in the definition of anti-Semitism. That's the U.S. government definition. So it actually is anti-Semitism. If you post Revelation 2:9 and you post it on X, even though X is one of the least censored platforms, it gets censored as hate speech. I've seen it 15 times. So our Bible is being censored as anti-Semitism in numerous amounts of ways, but nobody wants to talk about it. And as soon as you talk about it, they kind of just cut you off. Like Carrie Prejean Bowler, if you watch that whole hearing, if you could find clips of it, you should. I mean, you know, I'm sure if you search hard enough, you can. But everybody there was like, oh, I want to get coffee with you. I want to get coffee. Oh, you're so great. And then they just kick her off the panel because they can't have somebody breaking the fourth wall. Now she's gone. Same thing when I interviewed Vivek Ramaswamy. Go watch my interview with Vivek, right? I don't think I mentioned Israel or donor money or Jewish. Like none of that came up at all in my interview with Vivek. It was more about him and like his career. Yet as soon as that came out, it was like this coordinated Zionist smear campaign that was like heavily orchestrated and literally started with, I'm not even going to give them attention, but it started with a certain newspaper that is heavily funded by Zionist billionaires. Then it ended up on Drudge Report, like it's some important story calling me an anti-Semite because Vivek went on my channel or something. Then it ended up in like foreign media, like a story about me just ended up everywhere just because I interviewed Vivek. And I was like trying to figure it out. I was like, why are they calling me an anti-Semite right now? Like I didn't even talk about Israel or anything Jewish in this interview. Like it felt like they had it made thinking I was going to talk about that. And then I didn't bring it up and they just published it anyway. But either way, I'm like trying to figure out like what did I do at that moment? But I broke the fourth wall. Everybody was just like sucking Vivek's boots and was like, he's great. He's a patriot. He's a right winger. He's a hero. And I was like, he's a pharmaceutical billionaire who nobody knew who he was a year ago, who wrote a book saying Trump was a sore loser like Stacey Abrams, said he cried on January 6th. Like, I'm not saying it makes him a bad person, but his whole persona, like, and like the way he was presenting himself, I was like, dude, this guy's so fake. So I was the only one who gave him a real interview. I broke the fourth wall. I'm ruined. Like a billionaire who probably works with other billionaires is being questioned and basically like Wizard of Oz curtain revealed on a massive stage. And they hate that. So it's like in any way that you reveal the WWE show, the Matrix turns against you. And I think when it comes to, Nancy Pelosi saying if this Capitol crumbled, I'm going to just play the clip again. She says, if the capital of our country crumbled to the ground, we would still be giving money and weapons to Israel. Like, think about how crazy of a statement that is. Like, hey, even if our capital crumbles, we don't have anything anymore. It's over. There's not, but she's like, even if our entire country's crumbling and our capital's crumbling, we'd still be just doling out money and weapons to you. It's like, just tell us we're being ransacked without telling us we're being ransacked. Listen to the clip again.
I have said to people when they ask me, if this capital crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid, and I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. Because that's fundamental to fundamental.
It's a pretty crazy thing to say. And as I said there, yeah, that's a wild thing to say. You would think like every Republican media company would be like, wow, that's like a traitorous thing for a politician to say. But why would they tell you that when they're all feeling and doing nearly identical stuff? And she's on stage with an Israeli billionaire, an Israeli American billionaire who donates mostly to Republicans. And Pam Bondi's on stage with an Israeli American billionaire that donates mostly to Democrats. And Donald Trump says that he thinks that she probably, she won't answer a question when he says, what do you like more, America or Israel? But the thing is, Trump, like, he's almost like a powerless sock puppet because, he knows how the world works. So it's like, even though his mega donor, who basically gave him $250 million, won't answer a question. Like, he's like, do you like America or Israel more? And Trump said she refused to answer. So I think that means Israel. He just laughs at it because that's all he could do. Because he's like, yeah, I guess she funds it. And then these people will come to my comment section and be like, but there's really not, Farah doesn't have that much Israeli donor. It's because nobody has to register. Trump can stand on stage and say he thinks his big donor, who gave him $250 million, likes a foreign nation more than America and only asks them to do things for Israel. But they don't register for Farah. So the billions of dollars that's pouring into American politics to make our politicians and try to buy them out to do things for Israel, they don't have to register. So those numbers don't really matter. If you added up all of the numbers and they had the same scrutiny that other countries had, it would be number one by far. But, I'm going to kick it to Trump right here because, once again, I will condemn Donald Trump right here. This is like the most anti-Semitic thing I've ever heard. And I just really want to say, Trump, you should take a Ben Shapiro tour to, you should fly to Europe, say you're sorry, hang out with Ben Shapiro and come back, because of what you said here. But I'm going to let him say it because I can't say it.
My father would tell me the most powerful lobby that there is in this country is the Jewish lobby. It's the Israeli lobby.
All right, now we're going to play a little game, right, that we probably shouldn't play, but it's too late. Imagine, you could pick another country, but I'm going to say China, right? Imagine that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were Chinese. Imagine if Nancy Pelosi was on stage in front of a Chinese-American billionaire saying, if this capital crumbled to the ground in America, I'd still be giving money and weapons to China. Imagine if Donald Trump is on stage with a Chinese-American billionaire who Trump says likes China more than America and says only ask for things for China. Imagine if Zelensky, his big donor Kolomoisky, the guy who fled to Israel, imagine if all of those people in Ukraine, imagine if they were all Chinese. Should I keep going? Because I could probably go for 3 hours based on everything I know, but I could stop right here. That's enough. But, it's like, what if George Soros was Chinese? What if, should I stop? This is how America really works. So it's like Trump knows that. He tells people on stage how it works, but apparently you're only really allowed to talk about it if you cave to that lobby, because if you don't cave to that lobby, it's like just simply saying anything about it, they just freak out. Like, even I didn't listen to the entire thing with Carrie Bowler, that little religious panel, but she broke the fourth wall like 15 times in different ways. But I don't think they want people to know that there are speech laws being passed into America, non-legally binding as of now, but they're trying to weasel their way into universities, into states, into hyping up littering charges, into persecuting people that are visiting our country and sending them back. Like, they're trying to find every way that they can to enforce this because we have a First Amendment, but they can't let Christians and Catholics know. If Christians and Catholics wake up and realize that the IHRA international definition of anti-Semitism, that's the official US government definition of anti-Semitism, that's the same one that's putting people on trial in Argentina, that's the same one that's putting people in prison in Germany, that's the same one that's getting Candace Owens banned from Australia. If Christians and Catholics who make up a majority of this country knew that that definition made multiple parts of the Bible considered anti-Semitism, then people would be annoyed. They'd be like, well, oh yeah, of course I don't support anti-Semitism policing because it's anti-Christian, it's anti-Bible. Of course it is. Listen to the people passing it. I tell people this every stream, and I know it gets repetitive, and I know some people don't want to hear it, but I personally, maybe you can call it selfish, I don't care what people want to hear. I don't need anything. I don't, I'm not, if I lost 200,000 followers in the last 2 months on Facebook. I went from 1.7 to 1.5. You think I want to lose that many? Of course not. But if what I'm saying is true, then who cares about all the other subplots and what people want to hear? Everything that I'm saying here is actually what matters. And it's the only thing that's going to shift American politics. And, just to wrap this video up, I'm going to keep it under an hour. So if you guys got super chats or comments, I'll read them for 5 minutes. I'm going to stay till like 55 minutes. Pam Bondi doesn't want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. She doesn't want to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell. She doesn't want to talk about what was in the emails. She doesn't want to talk about the big picture. They're trying to write it off as he was just some lone wolf that was doing sick stuff on his computer. And apparently they just don't even have respect for us to answer the questions. They think we're so stupid that they could just yell Fox News boomer talking points and we're all just going to be like, oh yeah, Irina, talk about Dow Jones, the libtards, Trump derangement syndrome. She's just using all of like the brainwashing like, yeah, liberals have Trump derangement syndrome at one point, but that's all they have. So it's really imperative that people wake up from this brainwashing. It doesn't mean you should like the left or whatever, but we're not taken seriously by the Republican Party. And this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is way deeper than Trump. It's way deeper than Biden. It's way deeper than left and right. It's deeper than American politicians. It's including tech billionaires. He was talking to the richest and most powerful people in the world like they were nobodies. He was a power level above all of them, facilitating deals with banking families with Peter Thiel. It's not a nothing burger. Trump and Pam Bondi want to pretend like it's a nothing burger because they're working for the same orbit and the same network and the same group of people that wants to not talk about this stuff, and that's really all I'll say. So let me read a few comments. Let me know what you guys think, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. Keep it under an hour so people that don't watch my show can kind of come and be like, oh, it's not that long. Let me see. Someone said, can anyone say why should anyone vote for this party without mentioning libs? I've asked some people like, what has he done? I think like the very clear thing that he has done is he closed the border that Mayorkas had opened. And I think really that's really it. Like me personally, I don't buy that most of what he's doing is for us. Like, for example, the tariffs at first, I'm very patient if I'm not 100% sure. So I was like, I'm going to be patient on the tariffs. I'm not like a huge fan, but I'm not a huge hater. Let's see how they play out because time tells all, right? And then I realized that the tariffs are basically just an extension of his foreign policy. So he starts tariffing certain countries that don't want to do his foreign policy. And I'm like, oh, these aren't really for us, so it's like even a lot of part of his domestic policy seems like an extension of his foreign policy. VBDC, appreciate you, brother. He said the Dow was at 13K before Trump was elected. Do we feel 5 times richer? Dow gains are offset by inflation. She actually had this crap in her little folder. Trump administration thinks we're very dumb. Thank you, bro, for that point. And 1,000%. Like, if it has quadrupled at minimum since then, nobody feels 4 times richer. It doesn't feel better than it was last year, 2 years ago. And what's happening now, I think even more than in stock market history, is the top like 10 tech companies. I don't have the stats off the jump, but they're like accumulating wealth. Like Nvidia went from not even being a company to like the richest company in the world, or at least biggest on the stock market. So it's like them expanding. It's the same thing that's happening with AI. It's like they're sucking up all the wealth. And then it's like, don't you feel richer? It's like, no, I don't own Nvidia. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm definitely not 4 times. I mean, I had like literally no money in 2016. So it's easy to be 4 times nothing, 4 times 0 is 0. But in general, it's like, yeah, no, the last year or two, like everything's, and it's not specifically Trump's fault. It's like the system's fault. It's like everything costs more. Nobody's getting paid more. Everything's more of a scam. Trump, people, I see other people bringing this up in his comment section. If you take away other corrupt people, like let's just say, okay, we all agree Joe Biden's corrupt, Nancy Pelosi's corrupt, make no excuses for these utter demons, right? Trump, what he's doing this term with crypto, with his investor, like Andreessen Horowitz types. I don't know that they're specifically, I'd have to like look at it, but the hedge fund type guys and the venture capitalists, I don't know exactly who's behind what. I know Don Jr.'s on some sort of board, but there's Polymarket and Kalshi, which are now saying they're prediction markets, getting around gambling legislation because it's not gambling. And you could do it in every 50 state and be like, Trump's going to bomb Iran. Let me put $1 million on that. Like they're doing so much corruption, but all we have is like, well, the left is corrupt, so Trump's not corrupt. I think Trump knows that everyone's so left and right, like emboldened, or at least like left and right blinded is a better word than emboldened, where they're like, well, Biden did this. So now it's open season for the Trump administration and all his rich friends. They're swallowing up the economy. Nobody's really like benefiting off this stuff. And yeah, for 50,000 Dow Jones, I'm like, I didn't know it was that high because stocks that I have are not like at an all-time high or anything. Someone said Trump pushed back against DI and also trans is a win, not Fed funded anymore. Yes, I mean, I agree, but also it's like if you're going to push back against DEI, but then Trump's entire cabinet is basically like DEI, but for a different topic. Do you think Leo Terrell is really smart? Do you think Pam Bondi is super smart? Do you think Dan Bongino, like his entire administration's DEI, but it's donor DEI. It's instead of DEI for Black and Hispanic and trans, it's like DEI for people who will suck up donor money and not talk about Jeffrey Epstein. So this idea that like Trump is hiring a bunch of people, he's hiring Fox News hosts who will literally read whatever he says and just do whatever he wants. Like people that are presentable enough for you to like them, but not smart or honest enough to actually have a backbone or a spine. Like if you look at Dan Bongino, dude, he just retweets like cat turd all the time. He's like black pillar. It's like this. That's our counter to what the left's doing to the FBI. That's really weird. And then the FBI makes a rapid response Twitter to respond to people. And the first 2 people that they respond to is Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie. So the FBI under Trump is so interested in countering misinformation online that they are annoyed at Thomas Massie and Tucker Carlson. That's Trump's deep state, like Tucker and Thomas. What do all these things have in common? It's like, not hiring leftists, like gay guys who steal people's like luggage. It's like, yay, that like that's the lowest bar. It's like he told everyone to use the right bathroom. Cool. It's like either you get Tampon Tim who wants to put tampons in boys' bathrooms, or you get freaking Trump. Like it's like the left is so low that people are impressed by like nothing. It's like he's in no way, shape, or form is he not hiring DI people. He's just like hiring DI for a different ends different means, ends to a means or whatever. Someone said weak sauce. That's a good way to end. Super weak sauce. This whole stream was weak sauce. I'm rage quitting. No, but I want to keep this under an hour because I'm having a great time. I could talk for 3 hours, but I want this video to be like digestible to somebody else. And if they see it and it's like, oh, it's only 58 minutes, that's more like, oh, it's 4 hours. Like who's going to watch that? So we got enough friends here. We need to make new friends. We need more people. Maybe we can unite the country by just saying that both parties are fake and gay. And, maybe we'll have a bigger audience next year. But anyway, that's the show for today. Appreciate you guys. Check out my hats if you want a beanie. If you want these black hats, they're made in America. These beanies are comfy. Dreamrare.com. Support the show, and we appreciate you. And you're going to help my American business and my friend who will ship them to you, who's an American business, and everything's made in America. So if that means something to you, get a hat. I appreciate it. If you like beanies or you like regular hats, check it out.